Back here, first things first, Undisputed coming up at 9:30 sharp. Jamie Maggio filling in for Jenny Tapp. Jamie, good morning to you. Happy day after Thanksgiving. What will you and the guys be talking about today?
Thank you. Good morning, Jenna. Coming up on Undisputed, have the Cowboys suddenly turned into contenders to win the NFC? And will anyone beat the Saints this season? Plus, Eric Dickerson and Rob Parker are in studio with us. Undisputed coming up next. Jenna, we'll go back to you. And Chris, happy birthday.
Thank you. Happy birthday, C.
Happy birthday, C. Thanks, Jamie. Time for us to go viral. Amari Cooper had a breakout performance yesterday, finishing with 180 yards and 2 scores, and he celebrated with the Markelle Fultz foul shot routine. That ain't great, as Nick would say. Even Markelle Fultz couldn't help but appreciate Amari's antics, giving us the fist pump on his Snapchat.
Credit to Markelle for being a good sport about this, but when your free throw motion
is so locked.
And yes. So it's not like he's been doing this for years.
I was at that game.
You were at that game.
Yes.
It happened 6 days aago.
I thought it was a sports phenomenon because I mean, you go from that to shooting underhand.
Yeah.
Like that's the next move.
Yeah, and so Amari, I think, was dealing with something maybe similar to what Markelle is dealing with now. A crisis of confidence, having had been great, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, you're not. Amari got it back. God loving, willing, Markelle might, but Markelle right now needs maybe a doctor, a hypnotist, needs something because
a hypnotist, maybe.
I really think hypnotist. It's gotten to that point.
Get out of his own way.
When you're doing hot potato with the basketball at the foul line, and think this is gonna fix it, that ain't great. That ain't great.
Yeah, that ain't great. Yeah. Sticking with those Cowboys.
They're going to be the same guy.
Playing host to Washington, Dak Prescott threw for 289 yards, scored 3 total touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott went off for 121 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And we just mentioned Amari Cooper finally having his breakout day with 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cowboys beat Washington 31-23. Both teams now tied atop the division at 6-5. CC, I'll ask you, what do you think has been the key to the Cowboys turning things around this season?
Well, for one, ultimately, you got to make some plays outside. And I don't care how, as long as they play this game, you can run the ball to move the sticks. But to be able to score the football in the NFL, you got to be able to score through the air. It's too meticulous. It's too taxing. It's too high end for teams to march 12 plays. You can't.
It's too many opportunities to screw it up. Too many
things can go wrong. Forget about the defense. Just how many things can go wrong from an offensive standpoint. So you need some guys as difference maker, guys that can make plays of over 20 yards through the passing game. It's going to make it better for the offensive line because they put less guys in the box. It makes it better for Dak because it gives him a greater degree of confidence, realizing, wow, I got a difference maker on the outside. From Zeke's standpoint, it makes it better for him. His reads become clear because you know you have to worry about a wide receiver. For Cole Beasley, he doesn't have to have a starring role. He can be a move your chains, third down guy. For Allen Hurns, it makes him better. For Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator, it makes him better. That's why it's important to have that guy that you call as a #1 wide receiver. And I was ready for Amari Cooper to have a breakout game. I knew that Dallas had instilled a lot of confidence in him, and Amari is a very quiet guy, but he's the type of guy, not that you have to coddle, but you have to make sure that he knows that you believe in him. That's one thing that Nick Saban did early in his career there at Alabama. He was a starter there from the first time. There were higher ranked recruits. There were guys that had bigger names, but Nick Saban knew that was one of the buttons to be able to push with Amari. Something's happened to him the last year and a half, but it seems like right now he has finally gotten it. After 4 weeks, he talked about it, spending extra time with the wide receiver coach, Sanjay Lau, who I believe to be a good wide receiver coach, spending extra time with Dak. and spending extra time with the other guys on that offensive end. It seemed to pay off yesterday with him having his breakout game.
And just one quick note, Nick, we talked so much the last couple of weeks about how the Cowboys never really had a #1 receiver, that they were playing Allen Hurns as the one. He should have been the 2. You know, Cole Beasley was due, should have been the 3. Now they have a legitimate #1 receiver. Well, they just have to get the 2 and 3 into place, work that in with
if you
Elliott.
listen, if you have one of the best, if not the best running back in football and a true #1, then those other things are really not even secondary, like tertiary problems. Like, okay, yeah, we don't, our slot receivers good, but not great. We don't have, you can deal with those. Great offensive line, awesome running back, if Amari is this guy. But I want to set the table for what was going on in this football game until Amari made those 2 plays, because this was about to go sideways, man. Dallas was going to have everything set up for him, and they were going to have their hearts ripped out by a Colt McCoy quarterback team once again. Dallas blew the end of the first half. Just there's no excuse for 1st and goal inside the 5, turning into 3rd and goal from the 17 with Zeke never touching the ball inside 2 minutes. They then got a gift because Washington blew their possession. They had another chance to score points. They blew that. Then all of a sudden, you go 3 and out to start the second half. Washington scores, and now a game that you had multiple opportunities to take control of, you're losing 13-10. That was the setting on 3rd and 2 when Amari scored the 40-yard touchdown, and then after getting a stop, the immediate next drive, 90-yard touchdown to the house. Those 2 plays in a game Dallas was about to squander changed the complexion of the entire NFC East.
3 things could have gone array right there. #1, this game could have gone a different way. But let's just go back to the trade deadline, because it was on the board. Amari Cooper, who is he going to be? After 2 Pro Bowl seasons early in the last season and a half, people begin to question, is he a legitimate #1? So his career could have gone in the balance. Dallas makes the trade. Dallas said, I'm not throwing in on this season. Their season could have gone away. So let's look at it. In 10 games this year, 6 with the Raiders, 4 with the Dallas Cowboys. Amari Cooper, is this his breakout game? Look how productive he has been. Now, people will say, well, those numbers are skewed because you had this last game. This last game was the most important because it's very difficult to be able to transfer not only organizations, but if he was a defensive player, then you would be able to come up with easier numbers because it's easier to play defensive football. The systems are very similar. The terminology is very similar, so it's easier to plug defensive players in. But we can see in his 4th game with the Cowboys, finally breaking out 3 touchdowns in those 4 games. This is a different offense. So whatever their projection on the season would had to change when they made that trade for him.
And now, Nick, the Cowboys and Washington tied atop the NFC East, but 2 teams going in very different directions.
Washington's cooked. They're done. You can cross them off your list. I don't care. They have 6 wins. Since the offensive line got hurt a month ago, Adrian Peterson was coming off the best 3-game stretch since his MVP season. And in the 4 games since then, he's giving you 40 yards per game on 3 yards per carry. Colt McCoy was what Colt McCoy has unfortunately always been, a poor man's Ryan Fitzpatrick. That ain't great. And so where is Washington? Washington's team right now that despite starting 5-2 is going to be lucky to get to 8 wins and probably tops out at 7 wins. Unless Philly all of a sudden has a transformation, this division is Dallas's. I can't believe we're here from where we were after that Titans
a couple
game,
weeks ago.
but that's where we are. And Zeke, 3 straight monster games coincided with Amari's emergence. Dak hadn't been turning the football over these last 3 games either. That's been enormous.
Enjoy the good juju, Dallas, because next week you got the Saints.
These guys.
Sticking with Thanksgiving action, Drew Brees said earlier in the week he feels like he's in a zone, and that continued last night against the Falcons. Brees finished with 171 passing yards. He found 4 different receivers for touchdowns, and New Orleans won 31-17. That is their 10th straight win. Nick, are the Saints starting to look like the best team in the NFL right now?
2 weeks ago, I told you there is no best team. The Saints, the Chiefs, and the Rams, you can flip a 3-headed coin. Now I'm going to tell you there is a best team. It's New Orleans. The reason I can say that is the way New Orleans won yesterday. I didn't think Drew Brees was particularly sharp. He wasn't bad. He's playing at such a high level.
Right.
Not particularly sharp for Drew Brees. It's still a good game, but he was missing some throws. The Falcons did a good job of neutralizing Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Didn't matter. 4 touchdowns to 4 4 guys who had a combined career 2 touchdowns, all undrafted. One of them drafted from a place I'd never heard of called Wisconsin Platteville, Temple, Northwestern, Northern Illinois is where these guys came from. And defensively, see, Eli Apple looked more like a first-round pick than he did at any point in his time with the Giants.
Yes.
And Marcus Davenport, a guy they spent 2 first-round picks to go get, came back from his injury, paired with Cam Jordan. Those 2 guys giving him a pass rush. Right now, the Saints look like the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, we talk about the offense an awful lot, but it becomes a time and point where we have to give some credit to what they're doing defensively. After first couple weeks, we know the opening week started off rough. They're in Tampa Bay. But Dennis Allen has this defense playing at a high level. Nick, you pointed out before, in the last 7 games, they got 9 turnovers.
Last 3 games.
Last 3 games.
They forced 9 turnovers.
They got 9 turnovers. So if you're giving Drew Brees, Sean Payton, those types of possessions, extra possessions during the game, you're going to be a hard football team to beat. I thought what was impressive yesterday, Nick, was the no-name guys. If Drew Brees can beat you with a bunch of no-name guys,
Dan Arnold,
and not no discredit to them, but they got some other stars. If they can win on some of those odd days where these other guys are negated.
And when Drew Brees isn't playing lights out.
Absolutely. I mean, for Sean Payton to be able to draw stuff up, and they said it in the telecast, that Sean Payton, the day before the game, was telling the guys, hey, when you do this, you run this route, you run it out, he's going to grab you, and the tight end's going to be wide open for a touchdown. And to have those things played out, a lot like Drew Brees said in one of the interviews, he gave us that insight.
All right, CC, yesterday you said your favorite Thanksgiving meal was not the turkey or the sides, it was the pumpkin pie. You said hands down. So in honor of your birthday this weekend, we wanted to wish you a very happy birthday.
Chris Carter.
There is your pumpkin pie, my friend.
Man, those candles been melting, man.
Okay,
50 candles on.
Okay, tell me something. When do y'all do the survey about the pumpkin pie? Because
see, just listen, can I tell the audience something real quick?
You gotta
During that, blow out your candles,
blow
make
out
your
the
wish.
candles, make
can
a
I
wish.
tell you guys something?
Yeah, go ahead.